All right. Well, thanks for coming tonight. Again, we'll save this recording for folks who are going to be watching it online later in the week. Again, this is just about us talking about what we have planned for U11 through U19 select teams here at 515 for the fall, and how the next couple of weeks will work with our talent ID sessions. So I will go ahead and share my screen, and we will get started. All right. Hopefully everyone can see that okay. I'm going to start by kind of pointing you all to our website to get started this year. So 515soccer.org/select is where we have most of our information about our select program. I'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like here in a few minutes, but this is an opportunity for you to go out, see some information about when our talent ID sessions are being held. We've got a button right here to be able to register for the session. So I'll click that and show you what that looks like. Pretty basic information you can get in pretty quickly for us. And then some other information too about fees as well. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into that for just a second because I think it's really important. We have a sort of a purpose at 515 to make sure that every family can play, and we are committed to making sure that that's very public about how that looks. So our full year, that's spring or fall and spring, full fees for our select program is $695 per year. So that is we think one of the lowest, if not the lowest, offerings in town. But we also understand that that's a bit of a stretch for some families. So we do have a few opportunities for folks. One is we give everybody the opportunity to pay either annually if they'd like to, biannually, or quarterly. So you can make those installments throughout the year. So 4 payments would be about $173. The other thing that's really important to us, though, too, is just making sure that we're allowing and making this available to everybody. And we're publicizing this right on our website. So if you go to our website and see, oh yeah, I make a certain amount of income based on my household size, we'll show you right here what your financial assistance looks like. So I'll just pick something out here. A family of 4 that makes about $150 or 150% of the federal poverty guidelines would get a discount of essentially 85% off of that $695. So it's pretty substantial. We're committed to making sure that happens. And if you're watching this, or if you're interested after the fact in knowing what that calculation would look like, please don't hesitate to reach out. We are more than happy to work with any family to make sure that they can be a part of our program. So I'll go back here. There are a few events coming up that we're really excited about. As I'll talk about a little bit more here tonight. We don't do tryouts here at 515 for good or bad. There are times where we've had some folks ask if their kid's good enough, and really our philosophy around this is if your family wants to commit to select soccer and your kid wants to play, we think we're the right place for them. We've seen a lot of growth in our program, and we'll talk a little bit more about that tonight. But as long as you're not here necessarily looking to win every single game and win trophies and all that stuff, knowing that those trophies may come and those wins may come, but we're here really focusing on development, we could be the right place for you. So we've got a few opportunities for you to try us out. A couple of these events coming up. May 29th and May 30th are nights where we already have practices scheduled. So you'll have an opportunity to come not just to try us out, but to actually see what this looks like. So Wednesday, May 29th, we'll have our last skills night of the season. I'll talk a little bit more about that. The 30th, we'll have our last practice of the season. And then we have a couple more sessions as well. So Tuesday, June 4th, we are asking that to be just U11 through U13 girls only. We know that there's a few families that are looking at that U11 girls range, and we're we're going to try to kind of keep that to be a little more of a narrow group. And then a Wednesday, June 5th, we'll do all ages again. Now, we are open to adding another session if we get a lot of families coming out, or if we get a lot of families in a certain age group coming out, but that, for at least right now, is what this looks like. Even though we don't do tryouts, we will be sending out bids on bid day, just like other clubs, just so we give folks an opportunity, if they're interested in trying out for other clubs, seeing what that looks like and comparing that. But we will be kind of continuing to recruit for our teams throughout the summer. So I'll talk here a little bit about why 515. So just to kind of give some context on this, this will be our second year in operation. This last year, we've had 3 teams running, and I'll talk a little bit more about maybe some of the good and bad and ugly of that here tonight. But really, this came out of a foundation of, we know a lot of families and a lot of folks that are interested in soccer on the east side of town weren't necessarily getting their needs met by some of the clubs here locally and across Des Moines. So we know that there were some families, for example, that were trying out a local club. That club was taking one team of maybe 12 to 14 girls, and there were over 30 girls trying out in a recent year, and that just didn't make sense to us to have a bunch of 10-year-old girls showing up for a tryout, being stressed out, getting cut, and then sort of being left to whatever worked out for them to go play from there. So we founded our club with those kids that maybe weren't going to be the girls that were maybe in that top 12, or maybe were, but we're interested in development. We're interested in sort of a less stressful environment, but in playing select soccer and in finding a way to grow and developing from there. Now, I say girls because we have mostly girls teams right now, but we are recruiting both girls and boys. Because I primarily coach girls, you might hear me say girls from time to time, but I generally mean kids. And we are recruiting and hoping to have a boys team at a select level here as well in year 2. So as we talk a little bit about this, right? Our mission is to make higher level soccer available to more Central Iowa kids, and we feel like we've done that in our first year. So we've kind of had, as I mentioned earlier, some good, some bad, some ugly, right? So some of the good, right, we'll talk about in a second. Some of the maybe ugly has been one of our teams in particular that had some girls that were maybe a little bit older, had been playing rec soccer for a long time, and this jump into select soccer for them at an age of 13 was a bit of a bigger jump maybe than they anticipated, and maybe that we would hoped. So we've played a lot of games this year. There's been a lot of growth. But we also know some of those girls and some of those families walked away saying, boy, this isn't maybe the experience we wanted for our kids. And we know that a few of them are looking elsewhere this year. That's fine. We are very interested in making sure that we have a team at that age group again, and finding a way to make that be a little bit of a better experience for those girls this year. But we know that some of those scores here in their first year for them has been a little lopsided. Some of the good has been at our U11, U12 girls age range. So we had quite the experience with them, and really learned a lot from them and with them over this first year. So our first game with them in August of last year, they went on the field, and for some of these girls, most of these girls, this was their first select experience, and they lost 10-0. And boy, that was a kind of a big shock for them. Over the next couple months, we had a couple girls unfortunately break some arms. We had 2 broken arms and a broken finger on that team, so we had a lot of injuries. By October, we played that same team that we played the first of the year. We lost to them 6-2, so we saw some growth. And then we went to a couple tournaments, and we had some success there as well. We started off our year this year playing that same team that we started off last year. We beat them 3-1. And we've been competing with them and many other teams now. So we've come a long ways since August, where we're now winning more than we're losing. And we found that that's been a real opportunity to see, really what these girls can do when you pour into them over a year. So for us, right, we see that as a win. Now, we're not necessarily going out to win trophies, right? We're excited to see that these girls are developing. We're excited to see that these girls have the opportunity to play select soccer instead of being turned away from some of these other clubs. Some of these girls may not be the best fit from a tryout perspective, but they're having success on the field, and that's what's important to us. And they're playing with their friends and having fun. So we think that that's a real testament to our mission. We're going to continue to develop that team. We expect most of those girls, if not all of those girls, to be back as a U13 this fall. And we're excited to see what they can continue to do as they probably move up a level in competition as well, as we continue to find ways to challenge that group of girls. So some of the things you'll see for us as we talk about this, I'll talk about here in the how we win section. So we are focused, even though we aren't here necessarily to win every game, we are focused on trying to make sure we have a quality experience for the kids. We haven't always hit the mark on that, but again, we're in year 2 and we're looking forward to continuing to grow that in year 2, right? So all coaches will be D-licensed or better. We think that's important for our coaches to be licensed. I am currently C licensed as sort of our director of coaches, and we'll be working on my B license this fall. So we're continuing to grow the education of our overall staff. We do have what we call an all club skills night once a week. So this has been an area where we've really seen a lot of development. Our kids generally have 3 practices available to them a week. We know some of our kids have other activities. That's great. We have 1 session a week, though, where the entire club comes together and works specifically on skills, whether that's juggling or touches or passing or whatever that is for the week. We focus on that and really lean in with those kids. It's a chance for girls to play with other girls. It's a chance for kids that are younger to play with kids that are older. And it's really been a fun time for us. There's a video on our website if you're interested to see more about what that looks like that shows what that experience is like. In addition to that skills night session, we have 2 team practices a week. This gives you 3 nights a week that you can get training from us. If your kid can make all 3 of them, that's great, but we understand that some parents and kids have other activities available or going on. So it's a nice opportunity for you to at least get 2 sessions in a week if you can't make all 3. We do have video analysis available. We have a camera that we try to rotate through our games so that your kids not only get a chance to hopefully see some highlights from some good play on the field, but also gives us coaches an opportunity to say, hey, did I really see that right when I saw whatever play that was out there, and helps us grow as coaches as well. And then finally, we're committed to strong communication from the club. So we hope things like tonight and other things help you to make a decision about what's best for you and your family. And we think that being open and transparent with what we're working on, again, maybe some of the good, the bad, the ugly, as we learn, is important to us. And we're going to always be transparent with what we have coming up and what we can do to make things better and take your feedback. So inclusivity, right? So we talked about these talent ID sessions. These are not tryouts, right? We are not going through a tryout process like other clubs do. We are very open to having folks come to us and try us out. And we are very open to taking a look at a kid that might not be the best tryout experience when you go try out for an hour in front of a bunch of other kids. Maybe that's high pressure. Maybe you want to play with your friends. We're open to looking at things a little bit differently in our club because we think that development and a growth mindset is the right way to approach this stuff. We do recruit to add more players, but we don't replace players, right? So if you're looking at one of these other clubs and trying out for them right now, you might notice that they have plans on having 1 team per age group right now. If you start doing the math when you show up, right, maybe they already have 12, 13 players on that team. Either A, they're not really looking to add many players to that team, or they're very clearly recruiting to replace some of the players on that team. That's not what we're looking to do here, right? So if we have a bunch of current U12s, new U13 show up for our team to try out at that girls group, we're going to find ways to add them to our program without disrupting the good thing we have going here already. And then finally, the transparent financial aid process. So we're going to give you a calculator up front to find out exactly what it would look like to pay here and to play here. We're not going to kind of do stuff under the table. Well, what would it take for you to play for us, right? We're going to try to be as transparent as possible to make sure that everybody has a fair process to sign up, regardless of their level of play. And then this growth mindset, and this is really, for me, the most important thing that we want to make sure that folks are signing up with us understand, right? We are focusing on putting select teams on the field. We do have plans to add recreational soccer in the future, and that'll come. But for now, right, we want to make sure people understand that we will always focus on winning trophies later versus winning trophies today. We're not looking to be the biggest fish in a small pond, right? We are going to focus on development and purpose over performance every day. We're going to focus on individual and team development. We're going to put practices where they make sense. As those of you who've been with us in the past know, we may move practices around throughout the year based on what's available, and based on maybe there's some turf available over here. We're going to do that to have a good experience with the kids. But we've also found times where we put things maybe a little closer to folks' home to make sure that that's the best experience for them. And then finally, focusing on fun, because if you're not having fun, there's really not a purpose of being here. So the 515 pathway right now, as we continue to develop, right, as I mentioned earlier, we are focusing right now on select soccer. We do have some plans here in the near future to add hopefully this fall some rec soccer at younger ages. We may consider recreational soccer at some of the older ages as well, if it makes sense. But again, our purpose right now is really focused on making that higher level soccer available to more kids. We're going to continue to try to do that. We do have some other programs that we've worked through. As many of you know, we did not do a holiday camp last year, but we did do winter sessions, winter training from November through February. So we got gym space. We spent about an hour and a half there twice a week, gave kids a chance to continue to get touches through the cold weather in the winter, and then spend about a half an hour doing speed and agility. This was all part of the tuition that families already paid for that year-round tuition, added at no cost, and a great chance for kids to stay active, but B, get a little bit faster during the winter too. And we did have the opportunity to measure some of those kids and see just how much faster they got. There's some pretty great big growth there. I mentioned talent ID sessions, and I think I won't belabor this, but we just don't think it makes sense to exclude a 10-year-old kid from a select team because their performance in one 60-minute session didn't look good, right? We know that there are clubs doing this. We know that they think it's important for them to pick kind of the best of that group. We're happy to have those kids come and play for us, but we are very open to the idea that the best kid, the best 10-year-old this year may not be the best 11-year-old next year. And I think that the growth that we've seen so far at our younger U11, U12 age range probably proves that. Whereas these kids will likely be competing with many kids that came from that tryout process here in the fall. May not win every game, but I think getting on the field and competing is a pretty big testament to the growth that they've had so far. Here's a picture of one of our recent skills nights from the fall. You can see here just a lot of kids, a lot of different age groups. In this case, focusing on just getting a lot of touches in. Our focus is trying to find a way to give them the opportunity on those nights to experiment and try new things. We have kids say, oh, I can't kick with my left foot, or oh, I can't shoot with shoelaces, or whatever. Well, this is a great chance to try it out, and it's a great chance to try it out with a bunch of other kids. Maybe younger, older, different skill sets to sort of take some of the pressure off. We've had a lot of fun with those sessions. They're a great chance for kids to experiment a little bit. And we also oftentimes will break off and have goalies do some work on those nights as well, so to give them a chance to get a little bit of work in too. This gives us a chance to free up our team sessions to focus on more game-like activities, more team building and patterns, instead of having to focus on those skill sets. And we've also given the kids some challenges where we say, hey, see how many times you can touch the ball with juggling when you come back next week. And it's given kids some homework that they've been able to come back with as well and encourage them to do more with. So we've built a lot on that momentum too. And finally, just some of the expectation that we set out with our coaches, and I think this is a good opportunity for us to share here, again, transparently. We have high standards for our players, but higher standards for ourselves. So really, we're not going to come out here and say our kid needs to be able to do this, or our kid's going to score a bunch of goals or whatever, but we do have standards from a sportsmanship perspective. We have standards from the way we behave ourselves on the field, and we have the same standards for us as coaches. We're going to be judged on sportsmanship just as much as wins and losses, and we've had some experiences over the last year where we've gone to places and we've seen some kids that maybe on other clubs that aren't held to those standards. We think it's a great opportunity for us to have those conversations and have these kids learn more about what sportsmanship looks like. We will always favor growth over wins. Winning is fun, but we aren't chasing trophies. So we are in the business of trying to find ways to make kids better. I'll give an example. We've got some friends of ours on the U12 team that's going to be playing in Minnesota this weekend that are really skilled soccer players, and some of the girls have been asking if they can add them to the roster so that we can go play. And we've said no, because we've got a full team and we want to focus on development. And while bringing a couple guest players in might help us win, we're going to focus on development and trying to get as many minutes as possible for the players that have been with us all season. I mentioned earlier that we do recruit players, but we focus on development first, right? So we'll add players certainly, but we're not going to replace players, and we are going to continue to develop the players that we're at. We're going to try to meet the kids where they are at, pushing them to do more, challenging them to do more while still having fun. We're going to focus on growth, but we're going to include participation and inclusivity on this. So recently had a conversation with one of the folks that is going to be coaching our U11 girls team in the fall, and about one of the expectations that we have for that person is that if we add players, that's great. And as we find more players to come in, that's great. But if a player shows up that wants to play and makes sense, we're going to add them to that roster. This is not a situation where we're going to be turning parents away or turning parents or players away. Coaches understand that, they're on the same page, and I think that's really great. This is an area, number 7, where we can continue to grow. We're going to try to communicate extra with parents, including notes previewing the week, recapping games, feedback on how things are going in practice. This is an area where sometimes we get busy and we don't always do the best there, but we're going to continue to try to grow and talk to folks about what we're seeing on the field and what we're trying to work on in practice, so that A, they understand, but B, they can maybe even talk to it about their with their kids at home. Number 8's a little one, but it's a big one. We don't wear sunglasses when interacting with our players. We're always going to try to make sure that we're looking into the sun when we're working with them and they aren't, so that they can see our eyes. This is something that is kind of an old school coaching philosophy that we really try to pick up and do more with. And then finally, our club may not be for everyone, and that's okay. Our expectations in our interactions apply to kids at other clubs as well. So we're very happy to have kids that had experience with us and decide to go on and do the next thing. That's cool. We're going to always make sure that we're working with those families, just make sure they have the best experience. We think that what we're doing is, like I said, a pretty good thing. We got a good thing going here, so we're going to continue to develop and grow that. So I'll just take an opportunity here to go back again to our schedules coming up. So we have Talent ID sessions here coming up May 29th and 30th, as well as June 4th and June 5th. We'd love to have folks there. Again, we have a wide age range there. I think most of our signups so far have been in that U14, U15 age group and below. But if there are sort of folks at that high school level that are interested in signing up for a team, we do have coaches available and would be willing to have a conversation with those families about what that might look like. However, we do want to encourage folks to reach out if they have any questions, and we're happy to help. So I know there's only a couple of you on the call here. I'm happy to pause and answer any questions y'all have. If not, I'd be happy to give you some time back tonight.
No, I don't think I have any questions.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't either.
Awesome.
Good.
Awesome. Well, appreciate everything. Thank you for joining tonight. We will make this recording available, so if there's other families you'd like to share this with, we will do that, and we will be in touch very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.